Nobody considered it possible. The industry didn't consider it possible. And there was a complacency all around.
The Deepwater Horizon was a state-of-the-art drilling vessel. The platform itself was the size of 2 football fields. It had these thrusters that communicated with GPS to keep it on position. It was a massive drilling vessel. What the Deepwater Horizon and BP were doing was drilling an exploration well. And it was in about 5,000 feet of water, drilled down to a total depth of about 18,000 feet.
In completing the drilling of the well, BP places at the bottom of the well cement and mechanical equipment. Its purpose is to be a barrier.
The concrete that was poured was poorly done. In fact, it failed 2 or 3 tests before they used it and a number of tests after.
Now, in most wells, if the cement blew, there would be other barriers that would stop these very volatile hydrocarbons with great explosive power. But for reasons that we are still not totally clear on, there was only one barrier.
And so as gas started coming out of the well, it was collecting around the rig in a large cloud of flammable natural gas. And it was really just a matter of time before that cloud made its way to an ignition source. And then once that happens, then the gas and oil that continues to flow feeds the fire. It's thought that hydraulic control lines from the rig to the blowout preventer 5,000 feet below were severed. The blowout preventer is there to do just what it says, to shut in the hydrocarbons, to keep them in the well and not let them up into the riser and onto the rig.
My immediate reaction was, really shock and sorrow for the men who died, first of all. And like everyone else, I originally didn't think it would be so enduring. But then it became a nightmare. There was certainly a lot of helplessness. You had the camera down there showing 40 to 60,000 barrels a day flowing into the Gulf of Mexico.
So over time you realize that this was the accident that people said couldn't happen. I would say for the first maybe 6 weeks, the government was trying to play a lot of catch up. They were dependent on information they got from BP. It wasn't always reliable.
With respect to the issue of who was really in charge, that's a matter that has been of great concern to the American public, and I have to confess I have some sympathy for the government on that. We do not have, in the federal establishment, people who are familiar with robotic repairs for subsurface activities at 5,000 feet.
They are overmatched. They don't have the same level of expertise and knowledge of the latest technologies that the industry does. So in some ways, they depend on the industry to understand what's going on out there.
think that creates the impression that the government's not in charge. Well, the government still can be in charge. And the government did take charge quite effectively.
What we discovered is the technologies that were available to clean up the oil after the Exxon Valdez 20 years ago are exactly the same technologies that are available today. And not only is the technology virtually the same, but its efficiency is very, very low.
We had 20 years after the Exxon Valdez ran aground to try to understand the impact of dispersants on marine life, and yet there was very little research over that 20-year period to guide the responders in this case.
President Obama decided to impose a 6-month moratorium on deepwater drilling.
In shutting down the oil and gas rigs, there was a whole industry that serviced them. The reverberations through the economy are not easily understood by people who are not in the region. Katrina, then Rita, then the spill. It's almost like 3 strikes.
The impact that I probably underestimated is mental health. I was very taken with a statement of a father that said his father had taught him how to fish and he wanted to show his son how to fish. And did this threaten that whole way of life?
There has been a tendency to downplay the impact on the environment. I would caution against leaping to an early conclusion. The kind of species that could not swim out of the way of a deep spill are likely to show some effects. How serious, how long-lasting, we really don't know. Some of the marshes were heavily oiled. They appear to be coming back healthily. One hopes that they will, but I think it remains to be seen.
There are some advantages in the Gulf of Mexico because in the warmer waters, the oil, it does degrade, and the oil was not as bad as it would have been if it had been close to shore. But the damages are very great, both if you measure them by dollars, and some of the effects are things that you really can't buy. We tend to have the idea that technology conquers all and within a couple days we'll fix it. But it took technology a long time to solve this problem.
There was, I think, an assumption that the industry had its act together and that all the major operators had its act together. It's becoming clear that BP was not one of those.
There was a lot of laxness, a lot of mistakes that not only shouldn't have been made, but I don't think were even consistent with normal industry practice.
There's no evidence that there was anybody saying, but wait, these are real anomalies. This is different. This is not what I've seen before. All of this combines to what we on the staff regard as a serious management failure.
The big question that the industry has to respond to in the aftermath of this is why weren't there systems developed and available to contain a low frequency but high impact event like this? And that goes beyond BP.